That's interesting. I never thought of that, and it makes perfect sense. Absolutely. Let's talk about sepsis and Ken and that moment that you found out that he had sepsis, and what was the journey like from start of finding out? How did you guys find out? What is it? And what was his journey like, for that, and yours too?
So sepsis is an infection of the blood that starts out you would have some infection in some place in your body, whether it be a cut or, in Ken's case, it was bronchitis that turned into pneumonia. He wasn't seen by his doctors at Kaiser. And so the doctors did not give him an antibiotic when they gave him an inhaler and cough medicine with codeine. Cough medicine with codeine is incredibly dangerous. If you have an infection brewing in your body and you have cough medicine with codeine, you think, oh, it's going to sleep and you're going to feel better in the morning. It's actually the opposite. Your breathing slows down, so the infection grows at an astronomical, crazy, rapid rate. And so Ken, after he took that, within 12 hours was spitting up blood. I rushed him to the emergency. They told me he was going to be intubated, which I thought was just putting him to sleep to clear out his lungs, but it actually was life support. And he never regained consciousness after that. So to give you a little time frame, we called the doctors Wednesday. Thursday, we were at the hospital early in the morning at the emergency. He's on life support. By Monday, he had all his hands and his legs started turning black. And so when I asked the specialist what was going to happen, like when would that go away, they said, well, if he survives, they would have to amputate his arms and legs. And so at that point, I just knew if my husband couldn't go golf, drink a beer, hold my hand, he wouldn't want to live. So his children and I, we had to, come to the realization that he wasn't going to survive and take him off life support, which was just terrible.
Bo and Ken, so quick, how do you pick up the pieces in those situations? Let's talk about after Ken. What did you do?
I was in such shock. I just couldn't even believe it. That's what's so interesting about death. We're so ill prepared as a culture to deal with death. We don't know. We always think, oh, well, if I die, if people don't, it's not an if, it's a when, right?
Right. No one gets out of this alive.
And then you just don't think I just thought after my son passed, there was no way that I was going to lose someone else so soon. And so it was very, very dark. I remember not being able to sleep. I usually go to bed super early and I would just be wandering around my house aimlessly, just trying to wear myself out. And I'd wrap a shirt or something around my head to sleep at night because I couldn't sleep without him. It was very sad. I look back at how I was almost 4 years ago, and it's just I'm in a different place right now, thank God. But it was a very challenging time to just be alone and widowed at a young age and have these kids and my work. And it was very hard. But once my daughter did say that to me and tell me that I should be grateful, I really started looking at that from that perspective. And then I had all these crazy things happen. They weren't things. It was definitely my husband trying to talk to me. Like 3 songs would come on in a row that were just pertaining to he and I or my mood at the time. Our wedding anniversary was like 2 weeks after he passed. And so I was doing makeup for a wedding because this woman had paid me a year in advance and she just begged me to do it. And I said, oh yeah, that might make me feel better. Okay, I'll do it. And so I just said, put on some happy music. Let me drink my tea. I'll paint faces. It'll be fine. And so about half an hour into it, the Celine Dion song comes on, the Titanic. And I'm like, right. I throw up the brush. I'm like, fuck, are you kidding? Like,
That'll do it.
People in the room. And I said, I'm sorry, you guys. I have clearly no filter, Tourette's, and no boundaries but they looked at me and they said, we don't even know how this song's playing. It's not on our playlist. Pink's on. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at her phone and I thought, oh my gosh, it was totally my husband sent that, because he always said our love was titanical. And I hear him walking upstairs. I hear he's been a very present spirit. So,
well, after this time, how do you, your trajectory, and how do you transition out of that into, there's always change, something like that happens. What do you segue? Where does your life, kind of take you at this point from there?